Hi, it's me, Lil. So I have some good news I want to start off with. I am out of the boot. Yay, free at last, free at last. Feels so good, I'd say. I'm just kind of relearning how to walk. Going downstairs still kind of troubles me, but I can go upstairs just fine. And I still have like a slight limp. Anyway, so the weekend I came out of the boot, I decided to test my mobility by doing a 3-hour scavenger hunt at the Natural History Museum. And then I also ended up at a concert that same night. So, as you can imagine, after a full day and not enough water, I was exhausted because this is the most activity I've done in the past 3 months. Anyway, so I'll tell you about this a little bit about the scavenger hunt. I'll tell you about the concert in Left Stage with Lil. Also, I went to see a musical at City Center that I'll talk about, a little backseat banter, and then, of course, moments with mommy. So, Watson Ventures, I've talked about them before. It's a scavenger hunt that me and my friends love to do. I think this is our seventh or eighth. And they told us that day that they have over 500 or something crazy like that. So I guess we'll never run out of scavenger hunts to do. So this one was another indoor one, which I like. It's a good indoor activity, whether it's too hot, too cold, whatever, or you just gotta have a boot. So this is at the Natural History Museum. I get there, they start the game, and first of all, it's all using paper and pens. It's not on your phone the way the game usually is. It's usually digital, and you answer questions on your phone, and it takes you to the next question. But this time, it had like a key with some hieroglyphics that you're supposed to match up to complete the missing words from a story. And then you're supposed to match the hieroglyphics to something else to create a word and unscramble. I was like, yeah, this is not for me. I'm out. It was just way too much thinking involved. I was like, I'll be timekeeper. Sad. Like I just never have anything to contribute to these scavenger hunts. I feel so bad. But this time I actually did have a good job, play a good role of being the person who wrote down the answers and the key. So I was very proud that I got to contribute that. They gave us like 2.5 hours or something, and we came in at like 2:15. I was feeling really good. I also thought we were maybe the first people to get back, but there's two other teams who'd gotten back before us. Then I saw that one of the teams had like 8 people on it. So I was like, I don't know, they're definitely in the competition. We only had like 5. So they announced the top scoring teams. And of course, it was the team with 8 people. Another team, I think it was just 2 people. And then my team, we all tied for first place. So I was like getting so nervous, biting my nails, because it was going to come down to the tiebreaker. Tiebreaker question was, how much in tons do the Easter Island statues at the entry to the African Plains exhibit weigh? So there was one person on our team who was like pretty sure they knew the answer. Nobody else really had a good guess. We just went with it. But it was not the right guess. So we lost in the tiebreaker. But, we're still winners in our hearts. Anyway, so after the scavenger hunt, we had to eat, of course. One of the people that joined us for the scavenger hunt was a new lady who was a friend of a friend who I'd never met before, but she was delightful. She's one of the few people I've met that's almost as funny as me, so that made her immediately endearing to me. And so the dinner is going well, but let's flash back to like December 2025 when I see billboard outside that says New Edition coming to Barclays Center with Toni Braxton and Boyz II Men March 14th. I was like, oh my God, I have to see that. Excellent. So I started texting all my sister friends, let's go to New Edition. And they're all like wishy-washy and not committing and like, I don't really like New Edition that much. I was like, yeah, neither do I. But it's with Toni Braxton and Boyz II Men, who I have seen in concert before, and they're excellent. So I can't get anybody to commit. So even though I put the concert on my calendar, I pretty much resigned myself to not going. But then during dinner, this nice new lady next to me is like, "Oh, I'm going to the New Edition concert tonight." I was like, "What? I've been trying to get somebody to go with me since December." And she was like, "Oh, yeah, you should totally come." And I was like, "I will. Thank you." She was like, "Here's where we're sitting." So after dinner, I go immediately to the box office. I'm like, "Do you have any seats in section 223 near row 13?" And the lady's like, "No, it's all sold out except for obstructed view." So I'm like, "Okay, thank you. Good night." I start walking away. And then the box office lady calls me back and she's like, wait. A floor seat just opened up in section 5 for $200. I was like, "Sold." Yes, I will take that. I never get a floor seat. I am always in the nosebleeds. So I was like so excited for once in my life to have a floor seat. So I get to the concert and it's just like a good vibe already, just lots of beautiful Black folks living their lives. The DJ was really good, playing all the old school classics that we love. There was a lot of faux fur happening that night. If I'd known that, I would have brought mine out too instead of my sequin bomber jacket, but whatever. So it was a really good time. Unfortunately, I was in the front row of my section behind an aisle. So there's people like crossing by me the whole time, which was kind of annoying. So being on the floor wasn't everything was cracked up to be, in my opinion. So I'll definitely be back in the nosebleeds again next time. As for the show, like I said, Voice to Man, I saw them several years ago with new kids, and they were excellent, still in good voice. They've matured nicely. They really are men now, and they're so handsome. They look good. They sound good. Amazing. All the hits, I'll Make Love to You, End of the Road, Water Runs Dry, my personal favorite, because that's what I danced with my dad to at my Sweet 16 party, which is kind of random now that I think about it, but a sweet memory. And then New Edition came out. They were doing their numbers interspersed between the other acts. What's really great about the show is that you're not just getting New Edition, Toni Braxton, and Boyz II Men. You're also getting Velvet DeVoe, Johnny Gill, Ralph Tresvant, Bobby Brown. Like it was pretty much like 7 concerts for the price of one. So yeah, New Edition. Everybody sounded good. Everybody looked good, except your boy, Bobby Brown. I'm not sure what was going on with him. Like sometimes he was in the numbers, and then sometimes he wasn't. He'd do a little something, then he'd go off stage. I don't know if he was like doing a line of coke or like breathing from his inhaler. I don't know what was happening, but he'd come back. He was like on and off the stage the whole time. Also, he had the audacity to be wearing a t-shirt that said Black Excellence. I was like, "No, Bobby, no. You are what Black parents tell their children not to be like when they grow up." He's had a hard life, losing, his ex and his daughter so soon after one another. So I get it, but they really don't need him in the band. Singing was asthmatic. The dancing was basically just a little foot shuffling. He did My Prerogative, Don't Be Cruel, every little step, and the crowd just kept hyping him up with like, go Bobby, even though he really wasn't, But I'm also sad to say that I feel like the weakest link was actually Toni Braxton, who I was especially looking forward to. I've always thought that, she's underappreciated. She has such a unique voice. She's such a just singular talent. But the vocals were just not great. She did some songs I didn't know, and then she skipped some other songs that were hits, so that was weird. What I will say about Toni is that she looks fabulous. She gave us amazing looks and a different wig for each number, so that was amazing. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't know. Maybe she was having an off night, but the show was still fun. Got a floor seat for $200. Had a good time. I'll see them again. So this weekend, I went to see Wild Party at New York City Center Encores. Now, this is not the Wild Party that was at Manhattan Theater Club in 2000. It's the Wild Party that was on Broadway in 2000. Yes, as some of you may recall, there was two separate musicals with two different composers and directors, two different casts, based on the same poem, both called The Wild Party, running at the same time that year. It was kind of wild. I never saw either of them, so I was just going in pretty much blind. But the one I saw was the Broadway version, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It takes place in the Roaring Twenties. The music is really jazzy. The choreography was on point, but the highlight was really the stars. It was really well cast. We had Jasmine Amy Rogers playing Queenie. Jasmine, who just had a successful run as Betty Boop in Boop, the musical, which I'd heard she was so good in it, but now after seeing her in this, I wish I'd seen Boop. And then we also had Adrienne Warren, who played Tina in the Tina Turner musical, was stellar in that and also very strong in this. And then Tanya Pinkins, who was in the original cast of The Wild Party, playing a different part. Now she's playing kind of this grand dame character who was played by Eartha Kitt in the original production, which I wish I'd seen. That probably was amazing. The story, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of different subplots, so it's kind of hard to follow. But the music is good. The performance is good. It closes on the 29th, but if you have a chance, go and see it. Let me give you a little backseat banter that I had recently. On my way to physical therapy, I met Suleiman from Sudan, who actually lived in Ghana for 5 years, coincidentally. And when he was living in Ghana, he was studying African political science. So we talked a little bit about the war in Sudan and how awful that's been. He said that most of his family's moved to Egypt. He said, as we know, the Middle East is just not a good place to be at all right now. And even like the safer parts like Qatar and UAE, like people are even leaving those places to go to Europe or whatever. We talked about Trump and how awful he is. We talked about the midterms. He's an independent voter. He was just like really great. It was a great conversation. One of the few people I could talk intelligently about politics with. So that was cool. All right, now moving on to moments with mommy. We'll just continue with the what is going to be a saga, an ongoing saga of the Italy trip. So now we're in the planning phases. We got our flights. Now we're looking for lodging. I sent her this really deluxe, thorough, detailed spreadsheet that had the price breakdown of the total cost of the lodging, the per night cost, the per person per night cost, and the total cost per. It was very detailed. So obviously, Ray put that together, not me, because I don't do numbers. I definitely don't do spreadsheets, but he loves a spreadsheet, so it was very kind of him to put all of that together for us. So I sent it to mommy, and then of course she was like, I can't click the links. I can't see anything. I was like, okay, just call me and I'll talk you through it. So I talk her through everything, and I'm like, isn't this great? We're getting all of this nice deluxe accommodations for such a low rate. And she was like, I don't know. I'm not sure. I was like, what are you concerned about? She was like, well, let me just check with your auntie Nana, who's a travel agent, to see what she thinks. I was like, okay, you don't trust me? I mean, or Ray? I'm telling you, this is the best possible rate and accommodations we're going to get for Italy in May. But whatever, call Auntie Nana. She calls her, and a half an hour later, she calls me back, and she's like, Auntie Nana says what you found was good. I was like, did she now? Great. So we booked it. I also had to explain the spreadsheet to my uncle, which was kind of problematic. Having he was having trouble understanding some of the figures and the calculations, which scared me because he's also my accountant. So I was like, oh, this is wow, what's happening here? I mean, I should have known something was up, but he kept calling me Vivian. in our text messages. And I was like, if he puts Vivian on my tax return, I'm going to be so upset. But anyway, he finally figured everything out and we're all on the same page. He told me to pack light just to carry on in a backpack. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. One. Two, mommy is the one you have to tell to pack light, not me. This is the same woman who will bring like at least 4 suitcases to Ghana. One time when I was going to Ghana with my friends, they packed 1 suitcase to share. Mommy made them bring another suitcase for her to take to Ghana, her sister or whatever. She's that lady at the airport who's like always taking things out of her suitcase to try to make it fit into the weight limit. Ugh, so embarrassing. Also, the last time we went to Europe with mommy, she had no less than 3 suitcases that me and my brother had to carry along with us. I think she pretty much only brought us as her pack mules. So, yeah, we'll see how she's going to pack. It's going to be difficult. Coming up next, conversation with my friend Anna, talking about this most recent season of The Traitors. If you're like me and you're into reality TV competition shows, then you know one of the shows that's recently hit our television sets in the last 3 years and won the Emmy Award for Best Reality Competition Show last year. I'm talking about The Traitors. It airs on NBC's affiliate streaming platform Peacock and is hosted by the always quirky, always interesting, and always fashionable Alan Cumming. In The Traitors, there are a group of contestants, and some are secretly designated as traitors. They live in a castle and work together on missions to build a cash prize, while the other players, who are deemed faithfuls, have to identify and banish the traitors before they are murdered. It's kind of like the party game Mafia, if you've ever played that. First season was a mix of reality TV stars and civilians playing together, but I guess they didn't like that format. So the last 3 seasons have been filled just with reality TV stars from some of your other favorite shows like Big Brother, Survivor, Love Island, RuPaul's Drag Race, and of course my wonderful Real Housewives. Well, I'm a big fan of the show, but my friend Anna is a super fan and watches all the international versions of Traitors, which originated in the Netherlands. So today I'm going to gab a little bit with Anna about this most recent season, and we'll tell you about our experience as faithfuls on a night in Williamsburg. Hey Anna, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I know this was a crazy season of The Traitor, so I really want to get your input as a super fan. But before that, I want to talk about our experience in Williamsburg on a cold winter night at an old
It was
bank.
so much fun.
How did you even find out about it?
I think it was on Instagram. It popped up. Well, I had seen that. If you guys don't know, we're talking about the Trader's Experience. I had seen it being done in London and various different other parts of the country. And I got served an Instagram ad and I was like, oh, this looks really cool. And I looked into it and I was like, oh, I think it was like 65 or $75 a person. And I was like, oh, why not? Um, and thank God I did it when I did because we literally went the last date and it was completely sold out. I had a whole bunch of people hit me up like the day after we went and was like, "Oh, we want to go." And I'm like, "It's gone. It's moved on to another
Yeah, I saw it.
country."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it's like the closest you can get to being on the show without being on the show. All the details were so perfect in terms of like the breakfast table set, the round table. It was pretty much like actually being in the show.
Yeah, I think, we were a little at a disadvantage because we were only two people who went as opposed to the other groups that were in our group. So there was like, I think it was a group of five and a group of four and then a group of three. So, just like the real game, it's a numbers game. So I think us going in only as two people, we were kind of at a disadvantage because they they go ahead and for the folks on listening in, once you get there, they go ahead and they choose, I think, one or two traitors. And how they do it is they give us a blindfold. It sort of looks like something kinky from like the 90s, right? It was like it was like that weird like eyeglass thing. So they put it on us. They selected the traders, and then we had a couple of different challenges and missions throughout. And then also we participated in roundtables. And what did you think of the roundtables, the mini ones before we went to the big one? What did you think of that?
I thought they were okay, but like starting from the beginning with the challenges, first of all, you guys, the first one or the first two were memory challenges. So I
Yep.
knew I was not going to be good there because that is one of my weaknesses is my memory is currently failing me. And I even knew like what they were going to ask. Like the first one was we had to look at two table settings and see what was different between the two. And I was like, I know they're going to ask about the salt and pepper. Remember where the salt and pepper is. You got this. And then as soon as they asked about the salt and pepper, I was like, it was on the outside. They were like, wrong. And then the last game, what was the last competition? It was
So
math.
it was,
So I was like,
yeah, it
oh no.
was math related. There was the dinner table where the dining room or whatever, the breakfast room where you had to remember the place settings. And I didn't know it at the time, but the person we were working with was a traitor. But we didn't know it
Oh
at the time. And then we had a couple, one was a match game with a
yeah, with the
clue
cards.
in a
Yeah.
bookshelf, and then another one was like a math challenge to unlock locks. Sadly enough, I made the epic mistake to tell the person who was next to me, who was a traitor, that I am a super fan and I watch this show all the time. And don't worry, I got this. Stick with me. And got murdered 2 rounds later. Remember?
Yeah, you're pretty early on. But
I was
I
the Rob Cesarino of the group. I got murdered the second one in, and I was like, what is going on? But
yeah,
it
get them
actually
spot
helped
the good
us at the
people.
end.
Yeah, at the end of the round table was kind of in set tense. The group painted me out to be a traitor, but I got up and had to let them know that I was in fact faithful. So that was a big mistake on their part. I think maybe I was like too quiet during the round table and during the
It was definitely
competitions.
the numbers thing. It was the numbers thing. We were only two people. We were outnumbered.
Yeah, with all the other people who had
And they didn't
a
really make
larger group.
connections with you. I mean, how could you make connections in like a half an hour game with someone? So, but ironically, we figured out that somebody that I had done a challenge with was a traitor because I was like, my murder was just so random. I couldn't I couldn't understand why. So I looked at the people that were in the challenges with us and I figured out who one of the traitors was. And we got one at the end,
Yeah,
right?
we did. Yeah, we got one. She seemed like a little suspicious and cagey to me the whole game. So that my instinct, my gut was just telling me that it was her. What was her name? Emily in plaid.
Emily or something like that. And
Yeah.
what was really cute is they gave you like a tote bag on the way out, and it had a Scully hat that's Traders merch, uh, tote bag Traders, and a pin, and then
Yeah.
also stickers if you filled out a survey. All in all, it was so worth the money. I would have
Yeah, it was
totally
like
done it
really a
again.
great experience for the price. And I would really recommend it to anybody if it comes back around next year. Sign up quickly to do it. But it's super fun. The actors in it who are playing the hosts,
That
they're
was
also
great.
very legit and seemed like they're really part of the of the show. They knew everything. It was great. Now going back to this particular season, how did you feel about it overall in comparison to the other seasons?
So I unfortunately had a disadvantage. I watched the UK season first, and I don't know why
Hmm.
they put them right next to each other because essentially the UK season comes out first, and all the challenges that were done in the UK or the twists that were done in the UK season were passed over to the US season. So every time a challenge would come on my screen, I would know what it would be. And then I would compare it to the UK one. And if for those folks who have never seen the UK version of this show, it is far superior than the US. I'm sorry, and as an American
What makes it so much
thing,
better?
because they use civilians. These people are really interested in the game. They're not interested in what brand deals I can get or how many outfits I can wear before I get banished. These people are in it to win it.
Right.
Uh, it's and it's just more compelling. I don't want to knock Alan because I love Alan, but Claudia Winkleman is such a great host. She's just so
Really? I found
engaging
her a
and she
little like
really
Old. I don't know. The one with the dark hair, right?
Yes, she's.
Huh.
It's funny because she has that. I guess I relate to her because I think we have a kind of characteristic, same characteristics. She's very hard on the
Yeah.
outside, but once you get to know her, like the if you see her in the finale, she's like crying with them, so happy they won,
Oh,
and
that's cute.
yeah, yeah. So she's very rough around the edges. It's meant to be that way with her. With Alan,
Hmm.
it's the opposite. He's so like out there and performative, and then once we get to the finality, he's got no emotion. It's like show me something. You've been on the ride with these people.
Yeah, I get
So
that.
to answer your question, I like this season. I definitely liked it better than the last season, better than season three. But overall, I think UK, and if you haven't seen Canada yet, Canada is amazing too. So I
Yeah, there is a
unfortunately
civilians
it's not my
episode
top.
of US coming this year, so everybody keep an eye out for that. Hopefully, that'll be just as compelling as the UK one. And I like it better because it's, yeah, real people who really probably need the money more than these
Yeah, and the first season of
newer
US was
celebrities.
Traitors and Celebrities mixed.
Right.
So we kind of got a feeling of that, even though Suri won. Yeah, I would love to see what it looks like with all civilians. And from what I hear moving forward, they're going to do celebrity and then civilians every year. But overall, I enjoyed this season. I will get down to the brass tacks of it, but I think the game really changed like halfway through. The first half, I was just like, I don't know if I can get through this.
Like, who did, when you first saw the cast announced, was there anybody that you're particularly excited to see, or anybody that you thought right away would be a good traitor or a good faithful?
So I was excited for Monet Exchange. I'm
Hmm.
shocked that she went so soon. I was excited for Rob Cesarino. I've been listening to his podcast. He has a podcast network that covers traders and Survivor. So I was excited for him. And apparently the rest of the cast were really threatened by him because he was the second one gone. Kristen Kish, I was excited for.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think those were my top. And then the rest for me, like I didn't know who Rob was outside of just meeting him on the show.
Yeah, Rob
The
R.
Lisa Rinna
Hmm.
of yeah, the Lisa Rinna of it all. I love Housewives. I'm not a fan anymore. I really liked them when they came out, but it's just become so performative and so like they weren't there to play the game. They were there just to look pretty and get airtime, and it kind of I felt like it did a little bit of disservice to the game. I think once
Mm.
they all got out, then the strategy really came in.
I mean, I think Dorinda maybe was more invested in really playing the game. They wouldn't have brought her back because she was on last season. They wouldn't have
Correct.
brought her back unless she really felt like she had to redeem herself from being cut out early in the last season.
And then poor Ron, like he doesn't like to be in social environments. He's been diagnosed potentially with autism, which again, there's nothing wrong with it because on the UK we had somebody go almost to the finale with autism, so it's not that. But he was. I think Monet said it best on the reunion. You're playing a social game and you don't want to be social with people.
Yeah, it's not going to work. I mean, yeah, he
So
straight
I
up
wasn't
said,
surprised
I
that
don't
he
want
was
to
like
get to know
gone.
any of you. I think that was a big mistake on his part and
Yeah.
alienated him from a lot of the people. Yeah, I was really excited to see some of the housewives that were going to be on. I knew Lisa Rinna would be crazy and chaotic. I knew
Yep.
Candace would be good because she's really smart and, just thorough, and she knows how to go for the jugular when she needs to. I was also excited to see Michael Rappaport because I know him as being a big Housewives fan
Oh
too.
God,
So I wanted to
please.
see how he would portray himself in the house with
He
all
was
these
the worst
housewives.
part.
But yeah, we'll talk more about him later. But yeah, definitely, I was interested. That got me hooked. And then Kristen too, I was excited to see because I felt like she'd make a good traitor.
I was really surprised that they picked two housewives in the turret. I was really, really surprised. And I hope moving forward they they space it out and go for the non like gamer or housewives people like the Mark Ballas's of the world, the Kristen Kishes of the world. There's so
Hmm.
many other people to dive into. Like I think historically we've seen gamers in there, and bring in other people from other shows in there I think would definitely help with the dynamics.
Yeah, what did you think about the secret traitor tip? Oh, that was the other person I was interested in seeing, Donna Kelsey who's Travis Kelce's Taylor Swift's fiance mother. So I was kind of interested to see what she would bring to the situation. And they had her this season do play a new role of the secret traitor. What did you think about just that whole idea and Donna in particular as the secret traitor?
I'm going to sound like a broken record. It worked so well in the UK and it bombed in the US.
Why? What made it different?
In the UK, the person they picked actually lasted to half of the. You got to see like them reveal themselves to the existing traders. The short list was provided by the secret trader. The US did a little bit differently, and I think Donna Kelsey was a horrible pick for the secret trader because it was so obvious. Even before the show premiered, we were all like, "Can you imagine if they make Donna Kelsey a traitor?" Like they so obvious because
Yeah, it was a little too obvious.
it would make awesome TV. I don't think she was strong enough to carry it. It was an obvious choice. Going in, Lisa Renna and Donna Kelsey were the ones rumored to be traitors just because of Donna, because it was just so off the wall and a wacky idea. And then Lisa, because she's just a big personality. So the fact
Right.
that two out of the 4 or 5 traitors were picked before the season even started by the general public says a lot about casting.
So the traders this season were Candace and Lisa from Real Housewives and Rob R from Love Island. How did you feel like they worked out as traders? And if there's anything, if they were good at lying, if they were good with their teamwork, if there's anything you would have done differently if you were a trader this season?
So I think Rob, we'll get to it. I think, Rob played a magnificent game.
Hmm.
He was really good at it. I think Lisa and Candace got too cocky and too confident too early. Unlike Dorinda, who was not a traitor, but like she was so loud and boisterous the first time around, the second time around, she played it down a little bit. I think the key to being a traitor is not being so obvious and making waves. And I think Bob last season made the same mistake where I'm a traitor, so I'm just going to be loud. And not saying that Bob isn't loud to begin with, but you kind of got to pull it back a little bit until you play the game a little bit more before you start opening up. I knew something was going to happen eventually. I just didn't think Rob was going to pull the trigger so soon.
Well, I think it was just, I hate this when the traders turn on each other. That doesn't make any sense to
It
me.
ruins everything.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't make for a good game. I don't. I feel like that happens like more than it should. Does it happen a lot in UK too? Maybe that's just an American thing.
It's an American thing. Well, it depends. Australia was a good season. So Australia season 2, spoilers, they actually wound up with a trader's dilemma, which meant the last 3 people at the fire were all traitors.
Oh wow, that's never
And
happened.
the way that works is they all have to vote to. So basically, they all had to vote the same way, or one person they all had to vote to share in order to like split it 3 ways, because if they didn't
Hmm.
all vote to share,
Oh,
they
I
wouldn't
see.
nobody got it. So they
So it was
all
like
were all.
it was like all or nothing.
Yep, and
Oh wow.
nobody won the prize that year. It was a horrible season because of the way the game went, but it was an interesting ending on that one. And the only highlight of that really was one of the players who I really loved, Annabelle. She was great, but otherwise, it was a horrible season. But
Do you think
going
this
back to
group of traders
UK,
were good at lying and deceiving?
the last UK, 2 traders won, 2 original traders won. So going back to your point about turning on each other, it happens, but it usually happens later in the game. And I think that Lisa is a horrible liar. You could see it in her face. I could never be a traitor because you would see it all over my face. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I'm horrible. That's why I would never even go on the show. I think Candace probably could have went a little further if she would have maybe folded her cards a little bit and aligned with Rob. But I think he would have cut her at the end because at the end of the day, they don't need the money. Rob does.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, he's definitely more deserving if they had to pick it that way.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rob, who did win the whole game, do you feel like he was the right person to win the whole game? What was it about his strategy that made him end up with the prize?
So I wanted the Faithfuls to win for a while, but the minute I jumped ship is when I saw that they voted out Johnny, and I was like, okay, they're done because that editing was so deceiving. They're like, oh, maybe there's a chance. I think he absolutely deserved to win it. I think he played good strategy. He made moves that were going to keep him in the game. He aligned himself with people he knew would never betray him, and he was not allowed an obnoxious traitor. He played the dumb guy, and obviously he wasn't dumb, but it paid off for him. But I really wanted the Faithfuls to win, but when they were just not seeing the signs and not voting accordingly, I was like, at this point, Rob, get it. It's yours. You deserve it.
Yeah, he played a
What did you
phenomenal
think?
game. I think he played a phenomenal game, and he was definitely one of the best maybe players. I don't know. I don't watch all the international editions like you do, but of the American ones, I think he's right up there with Suri from Survivor, who took it the first
Absolutely.
year. And he just played everything. I feel like he had like a more thought out strategy than everybody else when he came in, and he knew exactly how to play things in terms of taking the heat off him when he needed to and putting the heat on somebody else when he needed to. And his social game was good too because he was so like likable. Like nobody had any. There was no point ever that any fingers were really pointed at him. Right?
Yeah. I mean, at the end, they were kind of figuring it out. I'm just surprised that nobody went on the gender thing, right?
Mm,
That, that all of the traders that were eliminated or vanished were females, and nobody thought to think a man would be up there.
mm-hmm.
That was a miss. So when I say the faithfuls were stupid at times, just looking at gender wise, hey, and Rob knew that, so that's why he killed Mark, and he was going for other guys towards the end because, or he was trying to pin the traitor thing on other men because he knew the gender of it all and the fact that I don't think that they would cast all women in the turret and not a guy.
Speaking of gender dynamics, I have this kind of theory that the reason why Mora went with Rob at the end, I mean, I wouldn't say she's not a girl's girl, but maybe she's one of those women. Oh, there's some static there. Maybe she's one of those women who like wants to adhere herself to men more. She said that, and she just has a bad picker and bad trust issues because she said she's been cheated to and lied on before. So I felt really bad for her that it happened again
Did you see her at the finale when Rob said that he had a girlfriend? I
at the
think they
reunion.
totally, yeah, at the reunion, her face
Yeah.
dropped. So I think they
Oh,
were totally, I wouldn't say messing around, but I think there was some sort of romance happening there. And she thought she was going to have her Boston Rob and Amber finale. So if you know about Boston Rob, he was on Survivor with his wife
mhm.
Amber. He won Survivor. He proposed to her. They're still together to this day. I think they have five beautiful girls.
Oh, 5
I
kids?
thought
Wow.
they have five kids. They've been together for a really long time. I think she thought she was going to have that end where she was going to get the guy and the prize at the same time. And can you just imagine if they were together, the number of like opportunities, commercials, photo shoots? Like, I thought that she was just siding with him, one, because she really didn't think he was a traitor. And two, I think that there was something else going on between them. You saw the way he was touching her and his arm
Yeah,
around
he
her
was definitely
waist.
very flirty. He was definitely
Yeah,
very
he was
flirty and
flirting with
always
her.
like
He knows
picking
what he's
her up
doing.
and twirling her around and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I
And
think
there is a
everybody said that
significant
they were
age
somewhat
difference
seduced.
too.
Is there?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know how
she's
old.
mid 30s, and I think she's like 34, and he's like late 20s.
Oh,
So,
okay. Hmm.
not saying she should have known better, but I think that she was swayed by, she's a girl's girl. I don't think it really came down to girl's girl. I really think that she thought that there was something else there outside of just the game for them two.
Really interesting.
Just
I
the way
thought
she was
maybe
looking at him.
she was thinking also that since they're both Love Island people, people from the same shows or same type of shows usually stick together. Yeah, people from the same shows, like Housewives stick together, gamers stick together, and maybe she thought because they were both from the Love Island world that that's the reason why he would take her to the end.
Yeah, I think it started as that, and I do believe that there's some truth to that. There is.
Okay, let's also go back to what you said about obnoxious, because I think we both can agree that the messiest, most obnoxious person of the season was Michael Rappaport.
Absolutely. He was such a distraction. I couldn't wait for them to eliminate him. I it, I know why they cast him, but I did not want to see him on my screen. He was so toxic. He was distraction is just the word. And even at the reunion, distraction. What were they thinking?
They wanted somebody to come in who could be messy and who would try to antagonize everybody, and that's exactly what he did. I loved it when he was banished. Everybody was like, "We don't even care if you're faithful, but we just want you out of the house." Like that's how annoyed everybody was with him and his antics. And if you guys haven't seen his table manners, just Google Michael Rappaport eating, and you'll see some of the worst table
Ugh,
manners that you've ever seen. He was a disaster. Was there anybody who thought played too hard, too fast?
Colton.
Mm,
Definitely
okay.
Colton. I think he just got so aggressive to the point where it was off putting to the faithfuls. It was off putting to the traitors. I he was just going too hard too soon.
Yeah, I think he got too cocky and confident too at one point,
Yep.
where he really thought that he could control the room. So I think
He
that
was
was one of his
delusional.
fatal mistakes as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We can definitely give him most delusional. What did you think was the best kill of the game?
Mark or Kristen, hands down, because I think if they would have been left in the game, we might have had a different outcome.
Who do you think? Yeah, they played. They were also two people that never had any heat on them the whole show for the majority of the show, so they could have really gone far. But I think that was smart of Rob to get them out when he did, because
Oh,
otherwise
absolutely.
they would have had a chance of winning. Who do you think should never play again?
Natalie. Oh my God, Natalie. She was just so, again, someone who played really, really aggressive. And I get it on Survivor, you have to like want it and you have to do all these challenges. I think she probably could have toned it down a couple of different times, maybe, at the banquet or various different times. Like what they did her dirty in the end. I'm not making any excuses for Tara and Johnny going against her at that last round table where she got eliminated. But I think that she was just playing too hard. I think
Yeah,
she
she
was
was
just flustered all the time. And her outfits were so like going to the
not
club in the 90s. I was just like, girl, you on
very
TV.
very unflattering too. She needs a better stylist or whatever's going on there.
Absolutely. She's a rockin' body. It's like, why are you putting her in these Forever 21 get-ups?
Wow. The moment that I actually got like a little almost emotional was when Tiffany was banished, because I feel like that was a really hard one for everybody at the table, and the way she went out was just tough to watch. And she, like I said, is another person who probably needs money more than a lot of these other C-list people. So that for me was really hard to see. Like she was tearing up, made me want to tear up, and I feel like that's the one that most of the contestants felt the worst about.
Yeah, definitely Tiffany. Like my heart broke for her. She's a strong player. She's a strong gamer. And I think aligning herself with Michael Rappaport was the stupidest thing she could have done. I think that also put her nail in the coffin when she thought he was a traitor and she was trying to give him advice and align with him. And I'm like, stay away. Stay away from the poison apple.
Yeah, that's one person you could tell from the get you did not want to be aligned with at all. Do you think if you had been a faithful this season that you would have made it through? Would you have survived?
I don't think so. I think it was a tough game only because Rob had everybody, women, men, dogs, anyone who was on
Exactly.
that set, like hypnotized with his good looks. And personally, he's not my type, but I could see how like people just fell hard for him. So I don't think I would have been able to survive that with Rob, or I would have went to the end with him and he would have said he was a traitor, or I would have realized it like Tara and Johnny when it was too late.
Yeah, he played so well. I don't know if I could. I think the faithfuls also didn't have a really great strategy of sticking together and looking at all the options of people who could be the traitors. They're a little too scattered too.
They
What did
were
you think
scattered.
about?
They went with the popular vote.
Yeah, exactly. What about the production elements? Do you think, or the production involvement. Did you think that the producers were too heavy handed this time or they interfered too much?
So the car selections are always questionable for me. They put those people in the cars together on the way to the mission, on the way back to the mission. They know what they're doing.
Oh, interesting. I never thought about that.
Yes, they do. So do I think that production interferes too much? I think in a very discreet way, but yes, they do interfere because they will do a murder in plain sight, or they will again, the car selection to and from they will put people together. So if someone is, has heat on them, they might put them in the car with traitors who they know they're not going to like convince otherwise because they really know their true identity. So I would say that. And also the editing, I feel like there was a lot left on the editing for, from what I hear. They're putting together TV shows, so they're going to edit the show in a way that's going to make Rob this genius that outsmarted everybody. So even if there were people that were onto Rob, they're probably not going to show him that much.
What do you think about this recent Vulture, New York Magazine Vulture article that came out saying that housewives should never participate in this show?
I agree and disagree. I think there should be one or two. I think there shouldn't be four or five. I think it just turns the game into a reality show, soap opera versus a strategic game. I don't
Hmm.
think that they should be not be there completely. I think there should be representation, but this season we had too much. The previous season we had too much. I just think that to limit the number of people.
I think they should have more queens from Drag Race on. I feel like it's weird that
I
it's usually
agree.
only one.
If they can have five people from Survivor or three people from
Yeah.
Big Brother, why not have more queens? Or go into other shows. There's plenty of other shows that they can pull people from.
Or they have to really pick the top notch housewives if they're going to do like Candace was a good one because she's really smart. Portia was a bad pick because unfortunately she's not usually the sharpest tool in the in the shed.
Oh, poor Portia. But she was really like running for that reunion airtime. Like,
Yeah,
girl,
exactly. She
you
was
cut
taking
out
over
the
the
first
whole taking over the
first
whole
round.
thing. And
Exactly.
I think she was trying to really redeem herself and defend her banishment, explain why she's said things like, "If I were a traitor, I would da da da."
They gave her way too much airtime. I do think she has a valid point that if you say, if I were a traitor or I would have killed something like that, you can historically you can it does not mean anything. It's just the way people speak sometimes when they put
Right.
themselves in the shoes of somebody else. I think banishing people just because they said the wrong word at the wrong time, I think it's been proven that it's I would say about like 75% of the time it's not accurate. And
Mm,
I don't really think it's something to go by. And if you're pulling at straws and you're going to banish her because she said, if I was a traitor, I would do that, or the traitors killed, doesn't, it doesn't make any sense. We're on the fourth season at this point. It's really never really proven those people are actually traitors.
true. So comparing this to the past three seasons of the U.S. version, how would you rate this on a letter grade scale?
I would say a B.
Okay, that's not bad.
It wasn't as bad as last season. When they were all fighting in the turret last season, I was like, get this off my TV. I actually enjoyed season two with Phaedra. I really enjoyed that season.
Yeah, she's great too. Once again, another more intelligent housewife. That's good
Correct.
for the show.
Yeah.
If anybody hasn't seen Traders yet, this is probably a good starter season to go in and to watch in season two as well, because the show is really interesting and there's a lot of mind games and paranoia that happens, but there's never a dull moment. Well, thanks so much, Anna, for chatting with me about
Of course.
Traders season four. We'll have you come back again next time to dissect the civilian
I love it.
version of the
Anytime. Please
Traders.
let me know.
Great. Thank you so much.
All
Bye.
right. Take care. Bye.